Hey everybody, welcome to Joe of All Trades. Got a special little presentation for you here today. I wanted to cover something that is near and dear to my heart, at least two things. That's golf and having a great cigar. I like doing both. I like doing both separately. I like doing both together. But there's a certain idea of what really a golfing cigar is. I want to put a little presentation together. You can find this Joeofalltrades.content. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, maybe it'll be on Instagram. I'm going to put some other stuff on Instagram. And then also you can follow me on Patreon if you're willing to become a patron of the channel. Hopefully we'll get to a point where we can do kind of swag or Patreon only content, but at this point we're still very early in the stages of getting the channel up and going. So at this point, we are not gonna, if you want to help me out, that would be great. But otherwise, find this on YouTube and Spotify. So let's get started. All right. So what I really wanted to do is first, what makes a golfing cigar? Okay. First of all, it's got to be cheap. All right. There's a ton of stuff out. Golf is an expensive hobby. So what are you spending money on? Your on the greens fees, on your clubs, on beverages, getting a hot dog at the turn. If you're trying to look sharp on the golf course, you're trying to outswag everybody out there. Your golfing wardrobe might be expensive, but so all in all, golf is an expensive habit. So why add further unnecessary expenditure onto that? Cigars can absolutely be an expensive habit, but the purpose of this list is to kind of identify some great cigars that are not going to break the bank that you can enjoy out on the course, where you may not, want to sit in a dark room in a leather chair necessarily have, but they are pretty enjoyable for being out on the golf course. And while they may be great for novices or people new to smoking cigars in general, for the most part, these are something you probably want to keep on the golf course, or maybe go fishing with, or pass them around at a bonfire. It's a boy, it's a girl, that type of thing. But for the most part, these are going to be on the cheaper side. Another thing that makes a great golfing cigar is the fact that since it's cheap, if you lose it, it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay. So when you're out on the golf course, there's a myriad of things that may cause you to lose the cigar or not, and, toss it, that sort of thing. First of all, you might lose it. You're going to drop it. You're going to put it down. If you're sharing a cart with someone, this has probably happened to me more times than anything in terms of losing a cigar in the courses. I put my cigar down on the bumper of the car or the cart or the whatever somewhere, and then my partner goes and drives off, and it falls off the cart and I can't find it. It happens all the time. So if you lose it, another thing is the wind. Wind, to be honest, can be just as detrimental to a cigar as rain. If Unless you have a jet lighter out, which I suggest that you have, it's going to be hard to keep it lit, keep it burning evenly. And then a lot of the times, you're struggling to just, have it burn properly, and you'll get frustrated and, end up tossing it anyways. And then lastly is the rain. Obviously if it's raining pretty hard, the cigar's going to get wet. It's not going to burn evenly. It's not something that you want. All right. Another thing about a golfing cigar is I don't think it necessarily needs to be overly complex. Is that, if you want to enjoy a cigar in peace, kind of searching for the nuances of the, flavor notes, that sort of thing, you're not going to do that on a golf course when you are, hitting your ball, driving up your ball, hitting it again, figuring out yardages, what the wind's doing, all of the other variables that come in a golf game. You're not really going to be able to sit there and ponder about like I said, the nuances of flavor of a cigar. So it doesn't need to be overly complex. It also, I think it should be shareable. So that's another reason why it needs to be cheap, is that I would say it's better to share a decent cigar with a friend than have a great one by yourself. And especially out on the golf course, really where you can find friends, camaraderie. Really, my group of golf friends have really become like another family to me. And I would much rather share a cigar with them if they're asking for one than I've got a $12 one for myself. Another thing is that in this day and age, I think people are obviously identifying the problems that come with smoking, tobacco use. Obviously cigars are a form of tobacco use. They're not healthy. They're not good for you. But I would say is that the people that are trying to get away from tobacco or nicotine use, normally their exit out can be through a cigar, or if they feel that they could use a little nicotine fix out on the course, perhaps that's the best way of going about it without having to restart a habit, a expensive and habit. It's addictive habit. So I think these are all good qualities that makes a golf cigar. All right, and this is my recommendations on what you should do. In terms of keeping, storing, having cigars available for you. Okay, so first, I think you need to get a humidor. Okay, doesn't need to be a great humidor. I think probably anything that you can get on like famoussmokeshop.com or something would be good. I would be cautious of getting something, off of Amazon or eBay unless it comes with good recommendations or good, Amazon pick or overall pick, that sort of thing. Because basically a humidor is a cedar lined box that has to have a tight air seal in order to keep in humidity, in order to keep cigars fresh. Okay. To be honest, do you absolutely need a humidor? No. Is it the best way of storing it? It will help season your cigars. It'll, add, cedar within the box will add nuances to the cigars. However, to be honest, a freezer bag will do. As long as you have an airtight vessel that you can put some sort of humidification device in, I would suggest doing that. In terms of keeping a humidification, there's multiple options. There's little jelly, like jelly beads that come in a jar that you just unscrew the jar and let it sit there. There is the old school like green plant foam that you can put propylene glycol solution on. Propylene glycol is basically like, it's a chemical type water thing that will keep the humidity within the cigar, or within the humidor, I'm sorry. But what it will not do is cause mold. If you just use regular water on a sponge or a paper towel or something like that, it will get moldy over the time and ruin your cigars. So my recommendation they're called Boveda, Boveda, Boveda packs. They come in different sizes. They come in different levels of humidity. I usually get the 69% or 72% humidity because that's the normal range that you want to have in your humidor. They usually say you want your humidor to be 70% humidity and 70 degrees. Are you going to get that all the time? No, but you want to kind of try to stay around that level. And I think the Boveda packs are the easiest way to do it. They come in a plastic wrap. You take it out of the plastic wrap. It's like a paper bag. You throw it in there, and it feels kind of like a jelly, kind of solution. And then once it dries out, you just put in another one. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at your local smoke shop. You can get all that. So get yourself a humidor, and you're going to want to stock up, and I'll get to that in a second. Next thing is get a travel case. And what do I mean by that? It's just kind of like a leather, a leather kind of small box that you can fit 3 or 4 cigars in. That way you can throw them in there. They won't get crushed in your pocket. They won't get crushed in your golf bag, that sort of thing. It'll protect them until you get out on the course and actually can enjoy them. So I suggest doing that. Again, I would avoid kind of the cheap, if you're not sure, Amazon, eBay, I'm sure that you can find something on Amazon as long as it has good ratings. But I've bought before on Amazon. I put 3 cigars in there and they immediately get dried out because it was just kind of like a fake one from China or something. So be mindful. Next thing, stock up at the beginning of the season. So, and this is normally what I do. I just did it myself. I got, 3 different boxes of different cigars that I, enjoy out on the golf course and also, share with friends. So I usually stock up, I get my stuff on famoussmoke.com. I think it's the, probably the best overall price, best overall, experience on, shipping and loading up your driver's license and then working with you. So I usually get everything off famoussmoke.com. There's some other stuff. There's like J.R. Thompson Cigar. There's J.R. Cigar. J.R. Cigar is fine. The Thompson stuff I probably stay away from. They kind of have a lot of deals that include a lot of off-brand cigars that I don't necessarily trust. So I would stay away from that. Excuse me. So I usually fully stock that way. My humidor set up. Anytime I need to go golfing, I can just grab them out of the humidor and go. If someone calls you at the last minute, hey, I need a 4th, you don't have to stop anywhere on your way to the golf course to try to get a cigar. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Next thing is I want have a jet lighter and a cutter in your bag. Make sure the jet lighter is fueled up. Have a little bottle of fuel to refill it if you need to. It's not all that expensive, but jet lighters will cut through the wind. You don't have to, it's really not a pain in the butt to get a cigar lit or keep a cigar lit as long as your jet lighter is up and running. And then get a cutter and just put it in your bag and leave it there. That way you don't necessarily have to worry about it. I've got the cigar in the course. Now I need to cut it. I don't have anything to cut it with. I would say some of us veterans of cigar smoking could, you can moisten the tip and kind of peel the top layer off with your teeth. But, if you like having a nice cut, that way just have it in the bag. I have a little punch thing that is tied up on on a key loop, on the inside of my bag. And then lastly, like I said, if you enjoy a good smoke, great. Don't waste your money out on the golf course. If you're going to spend $12, $13, $14, $15, $20 for a cigar, save it for when you're at home. Next thing, what are we trying to avoid? By stocking up, by having a humidor, by having a case, by having a lighter in your golf bag, we're trying to avoid just a unpleasant cigar experience while you're out on the golf course. So this is always what happens. If you don't have a good supply of cigars at home, you're going to decide last minute on where you want to find a cigar for the round. Okay. So you might stop at a cigar shop on the way. Yeah, they might have some stuff, that you'll have to look for and see if it's good, or you're not really sure. They might have some cheaper stuff, but you're not sure whether it's going to be good or not. Because quite frankly, if you ask somebody at the cigar shop, hopefully they're helpful. They'll probably just kind of like, what are you asking me about this? This is a $3 cigar. Are you really asking me? But I mean, maybe somebody will help you say, hey, I'm headed on the golf course right now. I just need something cheap and decent. What do you got for me? The likelihood that that's going to happen, I don't know. Sometimes people at cigar shops can be friendly and helpful. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes they scoff at the fact that you're asking them about a cheap cigar because how they would never smoke that stuff, even though they have it in their humidor. Either way, you're probably going to run in there, not going to have much time. You're going to grab something that's familiar. It's probably going to be too expensive. So don't waste your time. All right. Next thing, if you don't stop at this cigar shop, you're going to stop at a gas station. Okay. And what do they have there? Okay. It's very rare that at least in Ohio or Northeast Ohio, where you're going to be able to stop at a gas station and get a decent cigar. So like I've seen in Get-Go's or, other gas stations where sometimes they might have like a Punch or a Macanudo or like a Hoyo Excalibur, and they're pre-wrapped in, it's just one regular cigar, and they're pre-wrapped and they're supposed to be, kept fresh in this, this bag that they're in. Is it helpful? I mean, yeah, it's a little bit. They still don't taste as good as if they were sitting in a humidor or if you picked them up at a smoke shop. I don't know what it is. So if they don't have those, everything else is going to be intended to roll blunts. So, your swishers, your Phillies, your backwoods, you know, backwoods are, might scratch an itch in a bind, but it's not really going to be all that pleasant. So I'd say stay away from that. You're not going to get what you want and have a great experience if you pick something up at a gas station. You're just not. Most dangerous thing is the next thing, is buying something at the golf course. Okay. Unless you are playing at a really, really nice golf course, which I love the golf courses I play at, but I'm a muni track player. And most of us are. So unless you're playing at a country club or a resort style course, the likelihood that they're going to have a humidor stocked up with quality cigars and they're being taken care of is very rare. It's normally a poorly maintained humidor with a bunch of no-name brands, and you're going to be paying well over what they're paying for. It might be, 100% markup, 150% markup. And the likelihood that it's even going to be in decent shape, let alone quality, is, unlikely. Just happened, excuse me, just happened to a buddy of mine at the beginning of the year. We went to a golf course that we regularly go to. I'm not going to name names, but he goes in there. He spends $9 on a cigar with no band. He comes out and he starts trying to light it on the first tee. He cuts it. The wrapper cracks, the wrapper unravels, and within 30 seconds, this thing was just being held together by the binder. The binder is provides a structural integrity to the cigar. It's underneath the wrapper. So he basically gets it down to that. It's unsmokable. He literally just spent $9 on it, and 5 minutes later, he's flushing it down the toilet. So, that's something you also want to avoid. When you're actually, and you want everything to be great when you're out on the golf course. So having a poor cigar experience, it will impact your round. When I'm playing out there, I love playing with the guys that I play with. I love listening to the music that I want to listen to, enjoying great weather. And a part of, all of the stars aligning and getting in a vibe and mood, is a great cigar, or at least for the purposes of golf, a decent cigar. So, it will impact your round if you're farting around with a cigar that won't stay lit, doesn't taste good, all of those things. So this is what we're trying to get at by golf cigars. So let's go ahead and get into the smokes. Okay. So first of all, number 5, these are the Arturo Fuente curly heads. There's 2 styles, what I just called the OG, which is the original, and then also the deluxe. So these are made by Arturo Fuente, probably one of the most prolific cigar manufacturers in the entire world. They are known for great quality, great flavor. Their Opus X line is well regarded as some of the best cigars in the entire world. So, and these are their budget line, entry level line, and they're pretty impressive for what they are. So the original, it's around $3 a stick. It's a sandwich cigar. So what do I mean by that is the construction of it. So you're going to have the wrapper is going to be on the outside. The wrapper is always the best leaf on a cigar that provides most of its flavor. The next leaf is what's called the binder. Like I said before, the binder has the structure, it's the structural integrity of the cigar. It holds the cigar together. And then within the underneath the binder is typically in what we would say a long filler cigar, is entire, the length of an entire leaf, but they're bound together and rolled up. So a sandwich cigar is where you might have one full length tobacco leaf and then kind of diced up tobacco leaves between that, and then maybe another full leaf, and then diced up tobacco, and then another full leaf. So it's just a way to utilize kind of scraps from full filler tobacco cigars, but it's not like it's still all natural. It's is it lesser quality? Sure, but it doesn't necessarily make it a poor smoking experience. These are mild. They kind of got a nutty flavor, almost a little grassiness to them. The wrapper on the original is functional but pretty rustic. It's kind of got a bushy foot. But if someone said, "Hey, I want to try a cigar for the very first time, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. I just want to figure out if this is good or not, or it's something I may want to get into," I would say, go get a Arturo Fuente Curly Head and don't waste any more of your money. Figure if you like it, we'll talk about something maybe a little bit more expensive. The next one is the Curly Head Deluxe. So these are about $3.50 a stick. They're a little bit more expensive. The quality is a little bit better. They do look a little bit better. They not only come in natural, but they also come in a Maduro. Maduro is like a curing process where it makes the leaf a little bit darker. The flavors are a little bit more richer, a little bit more leathery, earthy. Most cigar smokers, regular cigar smokers, I think, prefer a Maduro wrapper. These also kind of mild, nutty flavor. You can get them in Maduro, like I said, and just the overall quality looks a little bit better. Sometimes maybe you're playing with some people who are a little bit uppity and you want a, decent golf cigar, but it might look a little bit better, a little bit more sophisticated than the original Curly Head. Maybe you go with that. But they're both great options. The Curly Head comes in a box of 40, and then the Deluxes come in a box of 25. Next one, Florida Oliva. These are produced by the Oliva Cigar Company, also an extremely prolific cigar company, one of the most respected in the cigar industry. And these are their budget lines, kind of factory seconds, what have you. However, I'm pretty sure that these are long filler construction, so they're not a sandwich cigar. They are handmade. The Arturo Fuentes, they're also handmade, but these are handmade, meaning they're not made by machine. Somebody rolls them up in a shop somewhere. And these are, you'll be able to find these in most cigar shops. I really have seen them kind of disappearing, and sometimes a cigar shop is not going to have really, really good, cheaper cigars, because frankly, they figure out that people are going to come in there and spend $4 on this and still enjoy their experience and not have to spend, $10, $12, $14 on something. So sometimes cigar shops will kind of not have more budget friendly but tasty options because of that fact. But for the most part, I've seen them in most cigar shops. These are medium bodied. They've got a nice, nice earthy, just kind of overall medium body flavor, and they have great burn quality. So these are something I would definitely recommend. And then they also make at least they used to, sometimes it's kind of hard to know what these companies still make in terms of size, but for my recollection, they still make what I would call fishing cigars. It's like a 66 ring gauge by 10-inch cigar. It is a gargantuan cigar. And good buddy of mine, Curtis Boardwell, he will be on the channel. He calls them fishing cigars because he would always go fishing with his family, and have those out on the boat, and they last you for the 3.5, 4 hours that you're out there on the boat. So I think that these are a great option. The next, these are what I call my little Italian guys. And these are kind of a personal favorite for me. These are about $1 a stick. They are what are called Italian Toscani style cigars. So the leaves are picked, harvested, and basically they are dried and cured while hung next to an open fire. At least that's what the old kind of recipe used to be. I'm sure in the machine processing of them, probably there's a more mechanized way of doing it, but that's pretty much the style. They're cured next to a heat source, and it kind of helps ripen the leaf and kind of intensifies their flavor. There are multiple brand names, but they're all pretty much made by one manufacturer. It's called the Avanti Cigar Company. They make brands like Perotti, DeNobili, Avanti, and they all have different lines and that sort of thing, but they all pretty much fly under the umbrella of Avanti Cigar Company. They're American made. They have good American quality tobacco. It's Kentucky broadleaf in the entire cigar. These are pretty flavorful. They are full bodied. Sometimes they can have a little sweetness to them. Certainly in the flavored ones, you're going to get a little more sweetness, but they also have a slight little anise note to them. Nothing that may be off-putting to someone who doesn't like black licorice or anise flavor. I don't like that personally, that flavor. I've never liked it. It's off-putting to me, but these are not bad. I'd say maybe something in lines of like fennel notes. Nothing too powerful. Definitely deep, rich, some sweetness flavor, some anise notes, like I said. And they come in pretty much all general size, but they're a little bit smaller. So all of these are usually going to be about a 34 ring gauge, so they are smaller. And the length is usually what differs. You can get them in 3.25 inch, 3.5 inch, 4 inch. So you can kind of pick out how long you want to smoke these. They last probably, the shorter ones, half an hour. Depends on how much you're drawing off the cigar, but half an hour or so. So it can be a nice little smoke. If you're just if you're trying to have something, just a little thing during the round and not have to nurse a cigar through the entire round. But this is a good option. Avanti comes in multiple flavors. Anisette, cherry vanilla, bourbon, and then also licorice. I don't know what the difference between anisette and licorice would be. I'm not going to try it, so you can if you want. Cool thing about these is they do not necessarily need to be humidified. They are shelf stable, but I do put these in my humidor because they are much better when you do that. So I would do that. However, if you don't want to go through the humidor thing, they don't necessarily have to do that. I will say this is, if you can see in the picture, they can either come individually cellophaned or they can come in packs of 5. Normally, if they're going to get dried out within the pack of 5, they're going to rub up next to each other and one might crack or this or that. So I think you're going to have better luck if you put them in your humidor. They're more humidified, moist. That way, if they're rubbing up against each other in the pack, they're not going to crack and then not be able to smoke. So I would do that. Next one on the list, this is the Alec Bradley Supervisor Selection. I think that these are only available on FamousSmoke.com. I haven't seen them anywhere else. They are Alec Bradley factory seconds, and they run about $2.50 a stick. These are handmade and they are long filler. They are going to be the most the construction is going to be the best quality and more like a more expensive cigar than anything else on the list. I call these things a cigar smoker cheap cigar. because of, just how good they are and how inexpensive they are. They are, like I said, handmade. They're medium to full bodied. They're made by Alec Bradley. Alec Bradley, if you know anything about cigars, you know that they are consistently in the um, you know top listings or top ratings for Cigar Aficionado. They're really they really do some impressive stuff, and I like all of their higher end stuff. So obviously, when I recognize their higher end stuff, I felt that give these a try, and they were absolutely fantastic. Um, you know, like I said, these are probably going to be the best thing that. So if you've just got a humidor full of golf cigars, these are going to be the best to actually take and enjoy. You can absolutely enjoy these just sitting down over bonfire, hanging out with friends. If you don't have the ability to get something a little bit better, a little bit more sophisticated in a pinch, these will absolutely do. Last on the list, and my personal favorite, is the Tuscarora. These are about $2 a stick. They are machine made, and they are a sandwich cigar. It is actually the tobacco quality in it is pretty fantastic for a machine made cigar. It's a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper with Honduran filler. These things, their quality, for being a machine made cigar, it's second to none. They are the absolute best machine made cigar I've ever had. I would recommend. They're full bodied and they're peppery, they're earthy. Um, it can be a strong cigar. And if you're giving it to someone on the golf course and they don't smoke cigars all the time, you might want to warn them. But I think overall, you're not gonna. Usually it's going to be enjoyable by everybody. I was, throwing an event. I brought my humidor. I was passing these out, and people were looking at me like I was nuts because the fact that it's a machine made cigar, and they don't look, their quality doesn't look too good. I told everybody there, I'm like, I'm just telling you, man, fire it up, and you're going to be really impressed. And multiple guys that were at the event with me came up to me and they're like, seriously? Like, what the heck is this? I'm like, yeah, it's that good. And I sent them all links to famoussmoke.com, and hopefully they caught on with the bandwagon. So, I want these to keep getting made. They were formerly made under the Muni Maker label. And then for whatever reason, they got put under this FX Smith Tuscarora. I just hope that they keep getting made because they're actually really fantastic. When you first get them, and the other day, I just got a fresh box, pop these open. They've got a nice sheen on the wrapper. I just open the box, I put my face in it, I smell it. They're really impressive. So, yeah, so they're great. There's no need to cut them. They've got a little pinhole in the back. Don't need to worry about that. And they're just, long story short, I think that they're really great. And, they come in a box of 50, and, before tax and shipping, they're like $96 a box. So they're really fantastic. So all of these cigars, if I can, I'm going to look into it. If I'm not going to get in trouble for putting a link in the description for each of these on famoussmoke.com, I will go ahead and do that. If I find any recommendations for a humidor, I will. I'm going to find a recommendation for your humidor on Amazon, for a jet lighter, and for a case. I will put that in the description as well. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask in the comments. If you want to email me, my email address is Joeofalltrades.content at gmail.com. Again, Joeofalltrades.content at gmail.com. And, would love to procure further discussion and have more cigar reviews or more information on this stuff. So hopefully this is the first of many on the topic. And happy smoking. All right. Thanks. Bye.